dawn on the 24th of April 1918, and a British Mark IV tank commanded by Lieutenant Frank Mitchell has spotted a German A7V Sturmpanzer looming towards him through the smoke and mist. History is about to be made because it's the first time that a tank has engaged another tank in combat. It will change the face of warfare forever, but who will win the first ever tank-on-tank duel? With help from our friends at the Queensland Museum in Australia, we'll find out what happened. But first, let's take a look at the tanks involved and the events that give the Battle of Villers-Bretonneux such a prominent place in history. By spring 1918, the British Mark IV heavy tank has been in service for almost a year. It had proved itself at Cambrai the previous November, but of course by modern standards it is pretty rudimentary. It's dark in here, and thanks to the position of the engine right in the middle of the crew compartment, it's extremely hot and noisy. The carbon monoxide fumes from this and the lack of suspension make for a thoroughly unpleasant ride, even though 3 miles an hour we're not going anywhere fast. But at least there's quite a bit of space, and it's from the commander's seat that Lieutenant Mitchell peers intently through his vision port, looking for a sight of the enemy. As he scans the ground ahead, obscured by morning mist and the remnants of a smoke screen, he sees them. 3 of them.
I informed the crew and a great thrill ran through us all. There, some 300 yards away, a round, squat-looking monster was advancing, and further away to left and right crawled 2 more of these armed tortoises. So we had met our rivals at last. For the first time in history, tank was encountering tank.
But the excitement masks 2 problems. His crew haven't trained for this, and he's outgunned. Because whilst his Mark IV tank is armed with 2 QF 6-pounder guns, the 2 other Mark IVs that make up his section only carry 5 303 machine guns. British heavy tanks of World War I, like this Mark IV, were designated male or female, depending on the type of armament they carried in their sponsons. This is a male with twin 6-pounder guns, and these are designed to take out things like concrete pillboxes, emplacements, that sort of thing. But not long after they were first used, it was discovered they needed an anti-infantry capability. So females, armed with 303 machine guns, were introduced to work closely alongside them. The tactic worked, but it now seems flawed, with 3 A7V Sturmpanzers lumbering into range.
This is the only surviving original A7V tank in the world, one of just 20 that were built, and it's housed here at the Queensland Museum in Brisbane, Australia. It was abandoned during the Battle of Villers-Bretonneux and later captured by Australian troops. The Allies knew the Germans were making their own tanks, and it was inevitable that an Allied tank would meet a German tank in 1918. It was just a matter of where and when. The German A7V tank had made its battlefield debut just the previous month, appearing within a massive German spring offensive that almost broke the Allies. While it has sprung suspension, unlike the Mark IV, it is just a box on tracks. Limited ground clearance and the overhang at the front and rear mean that its cross-country ability is poor. And while it is technically faster than the Mark IV by a few miles per hour, it is top-heavy and unstable, meaning it can't be used at all in many areas of the Western Front. But it is considered suitable for the terrain around Villers-Bretonneux, a village that now stands in the path of the German spring offensive targeting Amiens. The battlefield has not been fought over before, so the ground is relatively flat and unbroken. The Germans deploy 15 of their new A7V tanks ready for the attack, which is set to launch at 4:45 a.m. on the 24th of April, 1918. The A7V has thicker armour than the British Mark IV and is also more heavily armed. The 57mm cannon mounted at the front, along with 6 Maxim machine guns around the hull, give it good all-round fire capabilities. Of course, this means you need a large crew. 18 men, sometimes more, could be crammed inside. Driver, commander, artilleryman, mechanic, signaller, loaders, gunners, and so on. It's fair to say that, on balance, the A7V is a slightly less pleasant environment than a Mark IV because of the overcrowding, more violent movements, and the fact that it offers the crew even less situational awareness. But the A7V is far from ineffective.
But before we get into that, our thanks to our friends at the Queensland Museum for the help they've given us in making this video.
If you would like to find out more about Mephisto, the world's only surviving A7V tank, check out our website here or visit the Queensland Museum in Brisbane, Australia to see it for yourself.
Please give us a like if you're enjoying watching this video. It helps to get it out to more people. Now, back to 1918.
The attack on Villers-Bretonneux opens with a heavy bombardment of shells and gas. It's directed at two badly mauled British divisions who are desperate for reinforcements and only lightly entrenched around the village. The A7Vs, Mephisto among them, play a decisive role steamrolling through the Allied positions.
Suddenly, at about 7 AM, looming large and terrible out of a climbing wall of fog, enemy tanks close up. They kept on their way unchecked until they gained a position astride our trenches, which they proceeded to rake with enfilade machine gun fire, so covering the assault of the German infantry. The forward companies were, in this way, overwhelmed.
With the British line broken, a 3-mile-wide gap was opening in the front.
In response, British tanks are called up to fill the hole and hold the line. Retching and reeling from the effects of a German gas attack, Lieutenant Mitchell is ordered to lead one section, A Company, 1st Tank Battalion, towards the hamlet of Cachy. As he approaches, he's hailed by British infantry, who warn him about the German tanks they've seen. It's not long before he sees them himself. Spotting them before they spot him, he's got the advantage as his section rolls towards them. With the lead A7V now in range, Mitchell's gunners open fire. They soon learn that trying to aim accurately at a moving target from a violently rolling and pitching machine is nearly impossible. They fire relentlessly, 25 rounds, but every shot misses. Their enthusiasm only serves to draw the attention of the enemy tanks, who'd been busy strafing British trenches. The lead A7V, named Nixie, is commanded by Lieutenant Wilhelm Billitz. His crew begins to return fire. Seeing Mitchell's tank come to a sudden halt, they assume it's been hit and shift their fire to the supporting female tanks. Both are struck and damaged by Nixie. With their weapons completely ineffective against enemy armour, they're forced to withdraw. Mitchell is left to face the enemy alone, but he hasn't been hit. Realising the futility of trying to fire on the move, he orders his tank to halt, giving his gunner, Sergeant John Mackenzie, the chance to aim properly. It's a massive risk, turning his tank into a sitting target, but in this unprecedented situation, it's the right call. However, Mackenzie's first shot flies long and disappears beyond the enemy tank.
Whilst we were ranging on the leading German tank, our own infantry were standing in their trenches watching the duel with tense interest.
But the next round slams into its target, near the main gun. One gunner is killed outright and 2 are fatally injured. The rest of the crew are seen to abandon the tank, probably fearing that at any moment it would burst into flames.
A door opened and outran the crew. We had knocked the monster out.
At this point, rather than pushing their numerical advantage, the 2 remaining A7Vs appear to back away and withdraw. The first ever tank versus tank engagement was over, but the battle wasn't. Lieutenant Mitchell continued patrolling for some hours before his tank received a hit from German artillery. With the track broken, Mitchell and his crew were forced to abandon their tank and retreat back to the safety of British lines.
Meanwhile, Blitz and his crew, who had sheltered nearby their stricken tank, realised it wasn't burning and the engines were still running. After ordering his men back aboard, they managed to coax the damaged tank a couple of kilometres off the battlefield before the engine finally gives up and it is abandoned. So, who really won the first tank versus tank battle? Was it 1-0 to the British?
Or does the fact that both crews had to walk off the battlefield mean this was more of a score draw? You have to draw your own conclusions on that one. What we can say, though, with some certainty, is that this engagement changed future evolution of the tank. They wouldn't just be needed to support the infantry anymore, they'd need to be able to fight other tanks as well. And this would have a dramatic effect on the way that tanks and tank doctrine would develop in the years that followed.
What do you think?
Let us know in the comments below.